Hello, children. Would you like to hear a story? Here's a very, very quick one from Chuck McKenzie's Nasty Little Bits, and it's called Bad Meat. Ruby just won't stop saying it, slurring her words like some kind of retard, and at this precise moment, that's what's really freaking Ted out, despite everything else that's just happened. It's only when he hears her stumble down the stairs after him that he thinks that maybe this has something to do with all that bullshit on TV about dead folk turning into mindless walking cannibals. Maybe if he'd made the connection earlier, he would have run out the front door and down to Mike's or something, instead of down to the basement to hide in the disused freezer in the corner. Not his smartest move ever, he's forced to admit, but he is pretty drunk and freaked out. He's got a finger pushed out under the padded seal running around the inside of the lid, so it can't close and smother him. So he should be okay. As long as she doesn't look in the freezer. Bad meat! So maybe he'll be okay if he just keeps real quiet. Assuming the dead people can even hear, of course. He'd had to show her consequences before, of course, but this time he'd barely tapped her when she insisted the steak couldn't have been off. Don't tell me it's not bad meat, you stupid cow! She'd spun away, down onto the glass-topped coffee table, and instantly bled out around the massive shard through her neck. He guessed it was a combination of shock and booze that had made him sit right down again and watch TV despite all the blood everywhere, waiting for her to move, like she always did after a while. Bad meat! When she still hadn't moved 10 minutes later, he began to worry that maybe he was going to get into some trouble over this, but then she began to stir, so he relaxed. And the next thing he knew, she was all over him, trying to sink her teeth into his face, so he popped her one, but good, and she kept coming at him, so he landed a real haymaker. She staggered a bit, then came at him again. And that's when Ted's nerve went, because Ruby could never brush off a blow like that. So he'd run down to the basement and jumped straight into the freezer without even thinking about it. And maybe that's because Ted's stepdad had kept a disused refrigerator in the shed when Ted was young, where the old man never thought to look when he was in one of his moods. Bad meat! She's in the basement now. And how the fuck is he going to get out of this one? Ted recalls the TV saying something about smashing the brain to put them down, and immediately wishes he'd kept a few more blunt instruments around the house, but of course he'd never needed any before, other than his fists. There may be a baseball bat somewhere in the basement if he can get to it before she gets to him, because that's the other thing he's just remembered from the TV. Don't let them bite you, or scratch you, or even spit in your eye, because that's how it spreads to living folk. Bad meat! She won't shut up, going on about bad meat like she can only remember the last thing he said to her. Or, the thought occurs, maybe she's finally admitting that the meat was bad. Or, hey, maybe it's the meat that's carrying the virus. And suddenly Ted thinks that far from getting into trouble, and he can always say she was already dead when he hit her, can't he? He could come out of this a hero if he tells the authorities it's in the meat. And then the lid of the freezer flies up. And Ruby looks down at Ted, jammed into the corner of the freezer, and grins in a way that makes him think briefly that maybe these things aren't as mindless as the TV says. Bad meat, she slurs, and the emphasis is unmistakable.